Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron. I hope you're having a great day in Jesus. We're looking at sociology, group dynamics, a biblical view of sociology, contrasting it with a secular view or humanistic view of sociology. And so we're so thankful you're here. Years ago, I used to live near Half Price Books. Wish we had them here in Georgia. And Sister Waldron shaking her head no. But anyhow, we lived by Half Price Books. So I remember I was there and I was studying philosophy. I was studying for a PhD in Christian philosophy at the time from a little college there in Indiana, as a matter of fact. And I saw the Tractatus. And this is the Tractatus, Logico, Philosophicus by Ludwig von Wittgenstein. So I was very interested in that because so many people had said this may have been the most influential philosophical tract of the 20th century. I've done a lot of history over the years on Ludwig von Wittgenstein. The fact that he just wanted to teach elementary school, and like Bertrand Russell is like, no, you're brilliant. And he brought him in for a 6-hour, thing and say, here, you've got a degree now and all this. And I forget what degree it was and on and so forth. And I think he ended up over here in Princeton and all this. But basically it was an attack on language. And this even goes back to Kant, the Kantian understanding of nomia and phenomia. I've been reading some philosophical treatises on this recently, the attack on knowing what is real, what is the really real. Because what Kant said, you have 5 senses. So I've got this table in front of me, this lap desk that I got from Amazon. But my 5 senses, since we're all imperfect and we're all finite, maybe my senses differ a little bit in your senses, and we may have different descriptions. And that wouldn't just go into the 5 senses, but it would go into language. And this was the part that Ludwig von Wittgenstein really dove into, was the differences of language. Sister Waldron's got on a beautiful blue shirt right now. Beautiful. It's one of my favorite shirts. But if you were to look at it, you may say, well, that's more like azure. Somebody else might say, well, that's sky blue. Somebody else might say, oh, it's navy blue. Somebody that's colorblind might say, well, it's gray. Somebody, what is it? The depth perception's like 3 billion prisms deep, of the 7 basic colors or whatever. You've got parts of like 3 billion. Your eyes are just amazing how God created us, and going into the brain and all that. It couldn't have evolved. It was an impossibility for it to evolve. As a matter of fact, Darwin even saw that, because it wouldn't benefit, partial systems wouldn't benefit. It'd have no benefit to go forward. It's only a complete system goes forward. Who's the guy? Oh, he was just on Joe Rogan. He does a great job. Signature in the Cell, Stephen Meyer. He does a great job explaining that. He's probably the best guy out there. I like Linux and I like Behe. I like several. Of course, I like AIG. His Genesis history is phenomenal. But I think Stephen Meyer is best in a lot of ways explaining many of these things. Not all. I saw Rogan kind of trap him a couple times. But anyhow, and I'll watch Rogan on a regular basis. But it's got Stephen Meyer, somebody on there. So the verbalization, different things mean different, words mean different things. Different languages, there's thousands of different languages. God did a great job at Babel. Hearing, people may hear things differently. There may be precision of languages and different even epochs of time. So the whole communicative process has this element of uncertainty in it. And what I saw in reading it, and it goes to the Vienna Circle. I had studied the Vienna Circle, by memory serves me, quite a bit earlier than Wittgenstein, that attacking language, God revealed himself to us through his word, and he's chosen by the foolishness of preaching. So I saw in all this that maybe Satan, because we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. We're not fighting against Wittgenstein. We're not fighting against the Vienna Circle. Even ideas have consequences. 7 Men Who Rule the World from the Grave, Briscoe's great book. But memes and all this being stamped in our DNA. But Satan can use that. And it goes back to an uncertainty principle. And then it just gets, if it feels good, do it. I mean, that's just where it ends up. And so often you end up in the book of Ecclesiastes. What's old is new again. This came home to me. I was in a PhD program, and so I was in a class of philosophy, great teacher from Liberty University, and I cannot call his name. He was great, but this is 20 years ago or so, or close to it. And we're doing like pre-Socratics, and the questions they were wrestling with. Well, then another class a little bit later, same day, we're wrestling with the questions of the Enlightenment. And it's the same questions, and I'm just like, wait a second. Wait. I had a lot of epiphanies in studying for PhD in philosophy, Christian philosophy, that, because we have to avoid philosophy, beware, Colossians 2:8. And I see why, because it doesn't lead to absolute truth. You can be philosophically true and not be absolutely true. You can be philosophically true with the major premise, minor premise, and truth, but not be absolutely true. That was another big shock. And I'm like, so we've been doing philosophy 2,000 years, and we still don't have answers. And the professor was like, yeah, and I hope we never get answers, because these are all the great questions we're always asking, besides the big ones, why am I here? What's my meaning of life? What's purpose? Why is there something rather than nothing? And on and so forth. What's a meaningful life? What's a life well lived? A lot of those different questions. So Ludwig von Wittgenstein, with this uncertainty of language, a lot of incredible points, but just be careful, because we have a more sure word of prophecy. I believe every word is true, every letter is true, parts of letters, Jesus said. So it comes to the point the church is the pillar and ground of the truth. Jesus is the way, the truth, and life. The Holy Ghost is the Spirit of truth. The Word is a word of truth, or is it just murkiness? And just, everybody just kind of does what they want to. There's no absolutes. And then there's an eternity. And see, science, in so many times, would say there's not an eternity. It only deals with naturalism. So God bless. There's no ghost in the machine. There's no when your brain dies. This goes back to Cartesian dualism and Thomas Hobbes fighting against that. So God bless. Thanks for being here. Join us daily. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.